Hey there, it's Khadija Yansani, your business mentor coach at bloominto.com. And in today's video, I'm talking about the three most important questions to ask in your coaching sessions. And I thought this was an important video to do because often talking to new coaches, they worry about like, I got my first client, now what do I do? Like what to do in the session and how to hold it and feeling like they can get through the 30 minutes or an hour and move their client along. So these three questions are pretty much underlie any coaching session, whether you're a new coach or a more seasoned coach. And it doesn't mean that it's the only questions you ask, but they're the most essential. And they really cut through to the heart of helping the client achieve their goals. So the first question is, what do you want? And that sounds pretty simple, but you'd be amazed how often clients don't know what they want. And so they might be talking about something that's happening at work or in their relationship or in the business. And then you come with, well, what do you want? What would you like to see happen in this area? You know, if you could shape it the way that you wanted it, what would it look like? So then it puts the client back in control and helps them be responsible for creating the life that they want. What do you want? So you don't have to use those specific words. Sometimes you're actually listening to the client and you can hear what they want, but they may not have necessarily identified it as something that they want. So it could be that you say something like, it sounds like you want to quit your job. It sounds like you want a deeper commitment with your boyfriend. And then the client can then stop and say that, and it's like, oh, they didn't realize that that's what they wanted, or maybe they didn't think that they could have it. So it's like you're mirroring back to them what they want. So in some cases, the client will verbally, formally say that it's what they want. And sometimes through your deep listening, you're extracting what they want and checking in with them to see if that's true. So that's really important. You always want to get to that as quickly as possible because that desire, that want, that goal or vision, it's what's going to drive your coaching. And if they don't know what they want, then you're going to do some coaching around that and help excavate what their true desire is. So the second important question that you want to ask is, what's in the way? You know, what's stopping you? Why do you think that you can't have that? Or why do you think that hasn't happened yet? So there are many ways to ask that question. What's stopping you? Right? And so it could be fear. Well, if I quit my job, then I won't be able to pay for my bills. Or I don't have the money to go on vacation. Or, you know, I'm just so extended. I don't think that I have any more time to participate in that activity. Right? And so when they tell you what the block is, you then get to check in with them to identify if it's a perceived block or it's an actual block. Because 9 times out of 10, let's just say 8 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, it's a perceived block. So you want to check in, is the thing that they're making up in their mind actually true? So let's use the example of, I really am overwhelmed and I just want to go on vacation. And the reason that they think that they can't go on vacation is that they don't have the money. So where do they want to go on vacation? Do they know how much it costs to go on vacation? So it's like without that actual information, how can they actually know that they don't have the money? And so sometimes we put things as perceived blocks in our way, and because they're in our way, it doesn't even allow room to explore and see what's possible, you know, and to come up with creative solutions. So the block or the perceived block usually cuts off any type of further excavating and the possibility of that thing coming to fruition. So you're going to do some coaching around whether that block is actually true. So if there's a fear of like, I'll get laughed at if I do this, like what evidence do they have that that's actually going to happen? And if that did happen, what would they do, right? So you're going to do some massaging, some coaching, some exploring, some peeling the layers of the onion to move through that block, to move around that block and move forward. If it actually even isn't a block, it's just something that the client has made up in their mind because of fear, resistance, or a previous experience. So the third question is, what's your next step? So coaching is about forward motion. It's about forwarding the action. It's about getting closer to the thing that they said that they want. So what next step are they going to take? I think it's always amazing that you ask the client and that they try to generate it first before you give your input, your ideas, your suggestions, because you want them to be able to rely on themselves, because they're not going to be working with you forever. Like, you want them to utilize their own resourcefulness, their tools, and quite often they know. And it's just about having to remove all this dirt and debris and perceived, limitations and thinking so that they can get into action, inspired action. And so the idea is that once that is removed, then they can get excited about the thing that they want. Like, oh my God, I've been dying to go on vacation. And now maybe they talk to a travel agent this week, or they start, looking at flights to wherever it is they want to go and see how much it costs. Or maybe they realize that they have a friend in that part of the world and maybe they're going to do a house swap. So that's when all of the creativity and the inspired movement starts. So again, a quick recap, the three most important questions that underlie every coaching session are: what do you want? What's in the way? And what's your next step? So those are some things that you want to hold as a framework, even if you don't ask those questions verbatim, but you're kind of tracking the conversation in that way. So I hope that helps and supports you in feeling confident about holding your coaching session. And if you have any other questions that you'd like me to address in future videos about starting and growing your coaching practice, I'd love to hear those as well. And if you want more hand-holding and support around improving your coaching skills and starting and growing your coaching business, I'd love to invite you into a business clarity call with me, where we're going to explore those three questions. What do you want in your business, in your coaching business, around getting clients? What's holding you back, and some next steps that you can start implementing right away to gain some traction in your business. So I look forward to talking to you next time. And you can do that by going to bloomintoyou.com/now. Again, that's bloomintoyou.com/now to schedule a business clarity call with me. All right. See you later.